The biggest scam in society today is the way we're constantly being hypnotized by consumerism and mass media. It's like we're being programmed from all directions: advertising, social media, corporate controlled news, all feeding us with the idea that happiness, success, and self-worth are tied to what we buy or how we live up to some artificial standards. It just feels like those at the top, those in control of all of this, are constantly pulling the strings to keep you distracted so they can keep running the show. And the system works so perfectly well that people never actually question what's going on, like why they're doing what they are doing. A good thing here is that so many people are waking up right now and recognizing that they've been actually running on the hamster wheel, and they've learned the art of how our brain is, how incredible machine it is. In psychology, there's a term called hedonic adaptation. It refers to our tendency to return to a baseline level of happiness regardless of positive or negative events. No matter how much we accumulate or consume, our brains adapt to new circumstances quickly, meaning that the excitement of a new purchase or achievement fades quickly, pushing us to seek the next high, right? Just getting us back into this cycle of chasing something, chasing more information, chasing more stuff, buying more stuff, whatever, right? In Buddhism, they had a completely different approach. They knew that suffering is a good thing. They knew that through suffering, you actually learn that pain can be good or bad. Like, if all these systems are designed to distract you from pain, to keep chasing something that will kinda bring you the satisfaction to negative emotions you feel, in Buddhism, they knew inside of pain there is an answer. And through pain, through enduring the pain, not like punishing yourself, but recognizing that certain pain is a good pain. Like, for example, when you work out with weights, or you go for a run, or you do some stretching and maybe yoga, whatever you prefer. The pain you experience there leads you deeper into a certain type of revelation about yourself. Like, pain in an honest conversation leads into a deeper connection with that person. And this is what system is constantly trying to make you avoid these things. And this is a big scam. So think about this. Ads are everywhere. So suddenly convincing you that you need a certain lifestyle, product, or image to be satisfied. Like, you need to wear certain clothes, you need to, make a certain makeup or whatever. And then media constantly, pushing out certain narratives, conditioning your mind to align with whatever keeps you distracted and disengaged from deeper issues like, political corruption, lack of purpose, lack of spiritual balance, lack of love and real connection with one another. And again, who's benefiting from it? Those at the top, right? Those who've designed this system that works quite well. Then we have the social medias and algorithms that are designed to keep you hooked. It just shapes your world views. Like, in the comment section, so many times people just fight with one another. Not here in this channel, but so many times people, if you go in comment section on a certain news channel, you will find people are constantly fighting with one another. Some claim to be spiritual and they fight with materialists. Some claim to be religious and they fight with spiritual people. People are constantly in fights with one another because that's what they're constantly thinking about. It's just everything is designed to keep you in this fight or flight state where everything is a problem and everything is a great reason to keep being prepared for what else you will fight with, right? There's an interesting fact about quantum physics, where scientists have found out that at a subatomic level, energy responds to consciousness. What we focus on expands. Our attention and beliefs shape the world around us. So if we're constantly, pouring our energy into certain superficial desires or fear-based narratives, we're constantly, investing ourselves into it. And life gives us a feedback of our investments. It's the currency. Attention is the currency of life. Like when you invest money into something, like into a certain scam, you get scammed. When you invest money into something that gives you some positive returns, you receive them eventually. When you place your attention to something destructive, you will feel destroyed. When you place your attention to something that's constantly pushing you with all kinds of negative stuff, you will feel disoriented. You will feel chaotic. So your attention and belief systems shape the world around you. If you're constantly, then catching yourself, breaking the habits of living how you've been programmed to live, eventually it leads you to a certain type of awakening. It has nothing to do with spirituality or anything. You just recognize that you've been doing things without your actual will. Something else was motivating you, like certain external influences that awaken desires within you. Like you want this kind of a car, or you want this kind of a relationship, or you want this amount of money. Well, there's nothing wrong with any of that. But most of the time, it just distracts us from our own sole purpose, which is usually something completely else, and eventually it will take us to all these things, like you will be able to buy that car or that house or whatever. It will take you to that, but the journey will be purposeful, it will be meaningful, it will be rewarding, it will be filled with more challenges, but also more meaning, and it will give you so much more satisfaction. Ancients call this the great work, when a person recognizes that rather than following the external influences, I will deeply contemplate on the idea of what I want to do with my life, who I want to become, and what is my path, and what are the challenges I need to overcome, what is the suffering I need to learn from, and who am I on the other side of all these challenges right now? Like, what is the great vision of myself I could become, or what life wants me to become? The ancient alchemists called it magnum opus, or the great work. In Vedic texts, they call it dharma. And in ancient Chinese philosophy, they call it the Tao. Like finding that rhythm of life within you that is taking you to where you truly belong. In Hermetic principles, there's a law of correspondence, which says, as above, so below, as within, so without. And this phrase actually means to really reflect on how are you thinking about life, how are you feeling about life, because that's what life is constantly reflecting back to you. It doesn't mean that when you change the way you think, life will immediately change, but in the next 5 to 10 years, your life will completely change, as within, so without. When we learn to live in coherence with the universe, with ancients, even ancient Greek philosophers called it the law of nature. They knew that each of us has a unique fingerprint, which says a unique purpose, a unique mission to fulfill. And once we get in touch with it, by stop, getting ourselves into constant distractions, we recognize that this law of life starts working with us. And that's when people start experiencing all kinds of synchronicities, all kinds of breakthroughs start happening to them. They go through the dark night of the soul, they go through the process of purification, and eventually they go into the third phase that alchemists call the crystallization, which is a phase where we start shaping and forming our talents. We become more skillful and we start creatively thinking where these skills at this unique time could be used. And so many people right now are in this phase right now. In Matthew 6:21, there's a saying by Jesus who said, "For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." If you're constantly treasuring just material things, that's where your heart will be. And when you lose them, you will lose your heart. When you're treasuring a talent, a skill, a value, a support, compassion, something you can provide to others that are suffering, that's where your heart will be. And every time you will find your skills, when you find your wisdom, when you find your energy to be useful for someone else, your heart will be growing with this. This is very powerful. Epictetus said, an ancient Stoic philosopher, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. If you want to create something big out of your life, have few wants and truly shape your life around it. It doesn't say you shouldn't dream about this amount of money or having this all kinds of different cars or whatever you want. You can have all of this. But notice that most of the time these wants actually pull you away from your purpose, from the main activity, from the inner tasks you know you should master in order to make it happen. Usually people who manifest all these great things, they always say, like, now these things don't mean much to me. It's more of who I am today. And that's why this is so powerful. So learn to direct your focus more intentionally, because that's what the system don't want you to do. They don't want you to learn to direct your focus more intentionally, to sit down with yourself and actually recognize how you want to experience this day today, what you want to get better at today. You see, the more you focus on external things, what you buy or how you appear to others, or I don't know, ticking certain society boxes, the more you disconnect from your true self. And when you flip it around, when you focus inside of you, on your growth, on who you have become until now, what can you give, what can you offer? Is there a unique way you could offer this, authentic you to others? Is there something you could learn? Is there a course you could go and study? Is there a book you could read about this? And sit in quietness to find answers. How you truly want to invest yourself, or into what you want to invest yourself to. You will notice that whatever you will get into, you will start to get better at it. And the real joy actually comes from noticing that we are getting good at something. This is psychology. The real joy comes from truly getting good at something. That's when we actually start enjoying life, because we notice the byproduct of our efforts. This is the real meaning of suffering. As the word passion, we are here on AttractPassion, right? The word passion actually means to suffer. But it's a good suffering, because every time you get into a certain journey of something you're passionate about, it's like you love doing it, but it also provides you a great amount of pain you need to persevere through. Like, for example, me doing art, like today you're watching painting Perception of Maya, seeing through illusions. I've made many paintings in the recent years, and I'm doing daily videos. And I'm doing coaching and all kinds of other things. And there's a lot of suffering behind that, because so many times we're like fighting with our old beliefs and old programs, old habits that are saying to us, hey, you should just lay low. Why are you constantly overcoming your fears? You should just, be easy on yourself and things like that. It's important to slow down, to reflect and to recharge. But most of the time we will not get anywhere if we don't break these old patterns. And every time we start breaking old patterns, we need a lot of energy for it. And brain recognizes this need for more energy as pain. Like, why would you do it? Change is unpleasant. And if change is unpleasant, then the pleasant thing is not to change, right? So you need to be aware of how your body is responding to change and noticing that when it gets unpleasant, it's not necessarily a bad thing. That when it causes some suffering, it's not necessarily a bad thing. Buddhists said that the cause of suffering is craving, right? Maybe the pain is not really a suffering. Maybe the craving for the lack of pain or the craving for a lifestyle that is not present yet is really causing the greatest suffering in your life. So what if you would recognize that acceptance is the cure? Acceptance, if you want change, if you want to experience a lifestyle you prefer the most, if you want to truly become who you came here to be, accept that you need to move through whatever you're moving right now. And that there is something that needs to strengthen within you. And there is something you need to let go of. There are activities you should stop doing so you can have more energy to do what will make you better at something, what will make you more skillful, what will make your energy more like a laser, a coherent wave of frequency, which is like a laser that has very coherent waves. That's why you can direct laser and it will reach very, very far away. So you need to become aware also of what you consume most of the time. As we're being bombarded with media narratives and endless ads telling us what to think, what to want, what to buy, there's the thing. The more energy you feed into these different messages, the more you feel distracted. And the word distraction means action away from where you want it to go. And then that's what shapes your world, your inner world. The chemistry in your body gets quite disorganized. And disorganized chemistry leads to disease. Your body can't function in a disorganized environment for a longer period of time. That's why the opposite of disease is ease. Being at ease with yourself. And how it can connect to persevering through pain, knowing why you're doing it, and knowing where it is taking you, and knowing why it's worth it. So we kind of go through a certain process of detox from external influences. We recognize that most of this social media is not needed. Most of these apps, you can just delete them. Advertising, well, most of it is just designed to take something from you. And those are all scams in this system that are constantly distracting yourself. The question is always, are you being a consumer or are you being a creator? Are you constantly just consuming stuff, or are you actually here to create stuff, to create beauty, to create something useful, something meaningful? And this is what you need to decide, to detox from consumerism so you can invest more of your energy into creating, into being creative. Knowing that you will never feel good enough by consuming more information or more stuff. There's a difference from consuming stuff and learning, studying something. It's a huge difference, because studying is done through purpose, through intention, but consuming is done mindlessly. To detox from consuming, ask yourself, how can you get better at whatever you want to create, produce, or give to the world? and really ask yourself what you want to get better at and just keep improving yourself at it. You will notice that you will never feel good enough for doing it until you notice that you are actually getting better, and you will notice that the feeling of good enough was never truly connected to what you're doing or the results you're producing. It's just your inner attitude towards yourself, your self-image. How are you seeing yourself? So you can already start to see yourself as someone who is learning, someone who's growing, someone who has self-love. You love yourself so much that you've dedicated yourself to the process where you can actually be expressed authentically as much as you can be, to the highest of your capacities. And when you don't see results, well, firstly, have compassion for you. Know that things don't happen overnight, and that you don't need external validation to tell you you're good. Because even when you get it, it still doesn't change much. And that's something I've learned in my life, like reaching millions and millions of views and a lot of feedback, and so many of you shared your love, in the comments and messages and emails, and it touches me a lot. But it still doesn't change the way I feel worthy about myself. It helps, but it doesn't change much. What changed the most was that I've started really sitting down with myself and loving myself, reminding myself that I am a work in progress. And I am enough the way I am. Doesn't matter how much I improve myself or how much I get better or how much feedback I receive. I love myself for who I am today. And I love myself for the choices I'm making. And I'm proud of myself. I just need to remind myself like that, because I was not growing up in an environment that gave me this kind of support. So we need to teach ourselves to give ourselves that. It's not like buying something to feel it. Of course, it's important to take care of the clothes and to feel yourself beautiful, to make yourself look beautiful. It's all fine with that. I mean, it's all connected, as within, so without. So as much as you take care of your inner world, of course take care of your external world. But don't think that self-worth or self-acceptance comes from buying that thing that was, promoted somewhere too. That's where you actually connect with something deeper or something higher. Like all ancient philosophers knew there is a wiser you. Some call it God, some call it Jesus, some call it the universe. Doesn't matter how you call it. There's this expression of the highest possible potential of life. And it's within you. And if you keep reminding yourself of the importance of embodying this higher potential, whatever it is, whatever it represents to you, you will feel motivated to walk this path and to do great things on your journey. And actually this wiser you inspires you. If you connect with it, it will inspire you. If you take few moments in a day to just, disconnect from noises, close your eyes, play some beautiful music, place your attention into your heart, get into this heart coherence where you awaken some gratitude or some emotions of happiness, thinking about memories or moments that put you into this beautiful state. And ask yourself, what you want to give to this world more of, and what could be the greatest expression of yourself today. That's what will help you to break free from all these noises. And then when you open your eyes, ask yourself, are you happy with your circle? People around you? You see, your vibe attracts your tribe, right? But actually, your tribe influences your vibe. So you need to surround yourself with those who share the same vision, with those who are focused on their growth, on their goals, on their values that may be equal to yours. It's like quantum entanglement. We impact each other's energy, even at a distance. So when you know that you have this kind of people around you, and again, it's another thing I've recognized in my life a few years ago when I got myself onto this journey. For a long time, I was just surrounded with books because I didn't want to hang with people who were not inspired to grow or to learn or to do something I was doing. I needed to distance myself from this kind of people. And I've completely invested myself into doing art, into doing videos, into growth, into learning, into studying. And what happens eventually, I've started meeting completely new people who had similar wants, similar needs, similar goals, similar desires. And I still have these people around me. And it's a completely different story, because when you are going through something, they understand you. When they are going through something, you can help them. When you grow, they grow. When they grow, you grow. That's how powerful it is. So stop trying to fix others, but actually let go of those who are constantly pulling you down. Of course, you can't let go of all of them, like family members or whatever, if it's your situation. But notice that you don't really need to change anyone or fix anyone. Just surround yourself with those who are maybe where you want to be, or who have the same goals, because it will help you to stay focused on the path. It is very, very noisy. So my friends, I hope you found great value in today's message. I'm sending you lots of love, blessings, and power. I hope you've enjoyed in today's painting as well, Perception of Maya. You can actually get a copy of it in our store, AttractPassion.com, or its store, AttractPassion. And also thanks to everyone for joining our Patreon community for more exclusive content. Till next time, one love.